Board of Select Persons, March 16, 2021, meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Take a motion to open the meeting.
So be it.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor? 3, 4. Kathy, are you in?
Yes.
Okay, the meeting is now open. First part on the agenda is public comment. Does anyone have anything that they would like to bring to the board's attention that will not be covered as part of an agenda item on this evening's meeting? All right.
I guess that's where I step in. I was asked to speak tonight on a little bit about Kathy. So I stayed up all night last night thinking, what am I going to say?
Oh, God.
Stop, I've got the floor. So I took this piece of paper and, well, as you can see, there's nothing on it.
Nothing.
I just want to thank her for being on the board. There were some shaky moments. I know when she first got on, probably it was a couple meetings in, she phoned me up or sent me a text and said, how do I get off from this? And I said, you don't. You're in it for 3 years. Suck it up. But I didn't really say that to her. I just
Yes,
said,
he did. Yes, he did.
well, I might have. All right. And I just, I'm pretty impressed that you came onto this board. You didn't have an agenda. Most people, when they come on it, they've got an agenda, and whether it's good or bad. And I had an agenda when I came on, and I talked to you about it the other day. But I just want to thank you. I think you've done a heck of a good job. I think the rest of the board will support what I'm saying. I wish you the best of luck. Hope you stay on some of the other boards so we can see you once in a while. And
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. It's very nice of you to say so.
well, it took me a while to think about it, but
Yeah, that's right. You're up all night, right? Up all night with a blank sheet of paper. Thank you.
Well, and I have to say, Kathy, that as you've seen, we leave and then we get sucked back in.
No.
Oh, that's what we all say when we're exiting, and we're like, bye-bye now, it's been super fun, but I'm gonna have a life. And then you start going, oh, why did they agree to that? What? That's not what I would have done. And then the next thing you know, you're like, never mind, I'm gonna throw my hat back in. So, I may see you again here in a couple of years, and I'd be okay with that. I do have to say that, I've watched you grow as a select person. I remember one of the first meetings, I think you actually said, I hate nighttime meetings. And I remember thinking, she does know we only meet at night, right? So the fact that we all stay
How
up late.
stupid am I, right?
Well, clearly the rest of us are right there with you. So, but I have to say, I appreciate your words of wisdom. I've appreciated, not that I mind hanging out with a group of men, but I appreciate a female's wisdom that
Oh, far better. Yes.
years of experience, and you've a wealth of experience behind you, not just as a nurse, but also in doing things with the Boys and Girls Club that is, phenomenal. I think that I'm so excited that they're in existence. I've used them for, different things in the past with the kids, and I still have kids that I interacted with years ago that approach me now and say how important that was for them to have. So, and now you're moving on to the Colonial Theater. And I just had someone the other day tell me that they were so excited to see what was going to happen with that space once it was completed. So there are a lot of folks watching you. Um, in all the good ways. And I also want to thank you too for, your help with my select board signs there in 2019. Everybody was right. They are very homemade. That's totally who I am. And I am about as tight as they come. So as far as spending money. So I appreciated that more than you know. So I thank you for being here.
Thank you.
You're
So
welcome.
Madam Chair, we do have a presentation here, and I'm going to share my screen just for a
Come on,
moment.
aren't we supposed to move right along?
Well, we'll be done with this in a moment.
That's Sesame Street. Moving right along.
So as you can see, this is a diploma of completion that certifies that Kathleen Wall has, in spectacular fashion, completed the rigors of a term on the Town of Belgrade Select Board, lending her immense energies, wisdom, and cheer to the benefit of our community and her fellow citizens. And we included quotes from two inspirations, from Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the notorious RBG, fight for the things you care about, but do it in a way that will lead others to join you. And then also from another great American, Rick Dameron, living the dream.
I love it. I love it. And that's what Ricky would always say. I'm living the dream. Well, thank you all very much.
Well, thank you.
Could I say something briefly?
No, no, God, you say too much.
Briefly, I mean, I got an email that you weren't going to be at this meeting, sadly, because of your friend. I'm glad you're here, but I had plans because you weren't here to write a long, 4 or 5 page essay, but.
Oh God, no, Ernie.
But I'm not going to do that now. So.
Don't do that to me.
No, I just want to throw my while we're wearing our hearts on our sleeves here. I just want to throw my 2 cents in, and that I think to some degree, I don't know, I may have encouraged you to take this step. To some, I was sort of in it newly myself. To some, and I mentioned one time recently that when I got on the board, it was filled with old white men, and I was the youngest one there, and now I'm needing to be an old white man too, but. I really do appreciate the contribution that women, yourself and Melanie, have on the board, and I'd like to, see that continued in some fashion if possible. And but your keen intellect and level-headed decision making was wondrous, and will continue to be. And thank you for your time, and your town salutes you, including me.
Thank you very much. And now you have I sat on the board as an old white woman. And Melanie's the only one that's a young white woman.
I don't know about that, but I'll keep taking that, Kathy. You don't look old enough to be a grandmother. I'm like, okay, sure.
Kathy, see what you've
having.
done? Kathy, see what you've done now?
What?
We've got about 7 or 8 minutes that we didn't have to have tonight.
I know. Right. So let's move it along.
All right, let's get going.
Giddy up.
So does anyone have anything else for the public comment section? All right, seeing none, we're going to delve right into old business. I will take a motion to open that agenda item.
So be it.
Yeah, moved and seconded. All those in favor? Okay, so what we have next is the approval of the March 2, 2021 Select Board meeting minutes. It's open for discussion. All right, seeing none. Rick, what's your pleasure?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Ernie?
Yes.
Rick? Oh, wait, sorry, Dan. I already got you, Rick.
Yes.
All right, 5-4-0 against. All right, next up, we have new business. I will take a motion to open that agenda item.
So be it.
Yes.
Second.
And a second. All right, so first up, we have the appointment of Dan Mckenzie for Fire Chief for a 5-year term.
I'll make that motion.
I thought it was fire chief for life. No?
I think for life. Is Dan's not here?
So Dan is not here. He had a family emergency this afternoon that precluded him from attending.
Okay, so would he be considered a reappointment? And can we do that without him here?
Yes, just a reappointment.
I think this is our chance to appoint him for life.
All right, so seeing no further discussion, Kathy, what's your pleasure?
Yes.
Ernie,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
All right, 5-4-0 against. Dan Mckenzie is the fire chief for the next 5 years. Next
Thank you,
up,
Dan.
we have George Seal, a reappointment for the Comprehensive Plan Implementation Oversight Committee.
I'll make that motion.
Moved and seconded.
Yep.
It's open for discussion. All right, seeing none. Ernie, what's your pleasure?
Yes, thank you, George.
Kathy,
Yes, thank you, George.
Dan,
Yes.
Ricky?
Yes.
5-4. Welcome back, George. All right, next up, we have Mary Vogel for a reappointment to the Comprehensive Plan Review Committee. Or, so
Make that motion.
we're changing it. Are we changing the name? Because we have on the forms, it's actually the Comprehensive Plan Review Committee, but we have them as the Comprehensive Plan Implementation Oversight Committee. I'm not sure when we changed the name.
I think it was changed a long time ago to Comprehensive Plan Review Committee. Wasn't
Okay.
it?
That's what I'm, which one is correct? I don't remember the Implementation Oversight Committee.
I don't either. I don't.
Maybe
either.
it should be the Comprehensive Plan Title Review Committee.
Right.
Maybe that's what it should be.
So Mary, I'm gonna nominate you for both committees.
I'll second that motion.
All right, it's open for discussion.
Is it true we got 2 committees or 1?
No, it's one. I'm not sure where the Implementation Review Committee came in. I don't remember ever seeing that
There's
name.
Mary.
Never.
Mary's in.
Sorry, I had my COVID-19 call.
So Mary, did we change the name of that committee?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, so it's still the Comprehensive Plan Review Committee.
Correct.
Okay. Oh, perfect. I think we can probably get away with George just being a reappointment and consider it done.
Yes.
All right, Mary's reappointment is open for discussion and I saw none. Does anyone have anything that I've missed? No. Ricky, what's your pleasure?
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
who did I miss? Ernie.
Yes.
I wish they would group like the board together because I'm all over the place. All right, 5-4-0.
We'll all raise our hand and then it will go to the top.
Welcome, re-welcome aboard, Mary. All right, next up, we have Kathleen Wall for reappointment to the Comprehensive Plan Review Committee. I will,
Make
is
that motion.
there a second?
Second.
I'll second it. It's open for discussion.
Now, this may be where we have a little discussion, but
All right, seeing none. Ricky, what's your pleasure?
yes.
And Dan,
Yes.
Ernie,
Yes.
Kathy.
I don't think I can vote on myself, can I, for this?
I think you technically could abstain. There's no
I
money,
will abstain.
just hands, so.
I'll abstain.
All right, 4-4, 1 abstention. Re-welcome aboard, Kathy.
Thank you.
As long as you eat the food you cook, I guess it's all we hope.
All right, and do we have Ted Fontaine here?
I do not see Mr. Fontaine in attendance.
All right, so that is a new appointment. So I will make a motion that we table that appointment to the next meeting or to further in the meeting if he joins us. Is there a second on
moved.
tabling?
Second, sure.
All right, all those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that one is tabled. Okay, next up on the agenda, we have discussion and consideration of an update to the Unified Investment Trust investment policy. I will take a motion to open that item.
Obey it.
Moved in. Kathy, are you seconding?
Yes,
Second.
ma'am.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor? 2, 3, 4, 5, that item is open. So Anthony, do you want to do the preclude or?
Sure, I'll just give a short intro here. What you have before you is a recommendation from the Budget Committee regarding a policy that would guide the management of the Unified Investment Trust. Now, this policy or proposed policy was crafted by Tom Dowd, who you guys know serves on our Budget Committee and has a financial background. And Tom's opinion, and the rest of the committee agreed with him, is that our current investment policy, which I also included in your package, works well for our operating accounts that we draw money from on a daily basis. However, it was his feeling that a more robust policy was in order to ensure that we get a greater return on our investments and to give our portfolio manager a little guidance. And as you see in this proposed policy, our preference would be that our investments be invested 65% stocks and 35% bonds. Also, as we previously talked about, this policy would allow the town to employ a private management firm, not just a banking institution, to manage the town's investments. And so, with that, I don't know if Tom has any words that he'd like to say about this, but I'm sure between he and Gary and Bruce and I will hopefully be able to answer any questions. And if you do approve of this policy, then that will set us on the course for drafting a request for qualifications for our to put this out to bid to portfolio managers. That RFQ would be looked at first by the Budget Committee, and then we would bring that for your approval before we actually put it out to bid.
And can I ask before we get too much further, when does our agreement with Bar Harbor Bank and Trust end?
It does not have a term on it. So we just have to give them a certain number of days notice if we wish to do business with someone else.
Okay, and do we give them a chance to come back in with a different proposal?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think when we send this out for bid, we will definitely include Bar Harbor Trust as a potential bidder.
Okay.
I read the draft over. I thought it looked pretty good. Nice job. Nice job, you guys, and nice job, Tom. Seems to be quite complete.
Does anyone have any questions about the policy? Jack? I was gonna say I usually defer to you, Jack, so I was waiting for your hand. If you press your space bar, Jack, will it unmute you? And if it doesn't, if you drag your mouse up to the top of your box, you should be able to push the unmute button and be unmuted.
There we go. Okay,
There
good.
you
Thank you.
are.
No, it would be my hope that this Unified Investment Trust could attract some additional, maybe significant money for certain town purposes that were not run-of-the-mill purposes, for maybe recreation, for conceivably library, conceivably more for cemeteries, conceivably water quality, things of that nature. It would have to have some history of performance to do that, I would think. And it would also, I would think, have to qualify for most people as a nonprofit deduction. Would this policy qualify it as a nonprofit deduction?
You're looking for individuals to put money into this fund. Is that what I hear, Jack?
Yeah, that's where most of the money, or a lot of the money in the fund comes from anyway. The Don C. Stevens Fund, for example, the two funds years ago.
Agreed. Agreed. But if you're my understanding is that this is more about how we invest it and who we invest it with. Is that right, Tom Dowd?
No, I'm wondering whether the fund, however it's invested through the town, would qualify as a nonprofit investment and give an individual or whoever invested a potential tax deduction.
I would put my nonprofit hat on for a moment. And I would say that municipalities are not usually considered nonprofits. But if you wanted to set up a separate nonprofit for these funds, you could probably do that. It might be a little cumbersome to do, but that would be how you'd get your tax deduction. I don't, I may be incorrect, but in working with municipalities in the past, they, by statute, I don't think they're allowed to accept funds for tax, and give a tax deduction. But that, I'm not the end all be all. I'm just simply saying that I think that that's a stretch.
I don't need an answer here tonight. I'm not looking for one.
Yep.
But I think before we could present this to someone who was interested in an investment through the town and the Unified Investment Trust, like Don C. Stevens.
Yep.
We would have to know the answer to that question. But
Right,
in
'cause
the
I know-
meantime, I'm all for the policy.
Well, because I know one of your thoughts, Jack, was that, perhaps we could attract more folks to invest in the town in this way. If somebody passed away and an amount was given to the town as an investment, or I know you were
But
hoping
that's
that it could attract a little more.
Yes,
That's the idea.
yep. But I think there's a few steps you have to go through in order to make that happen.
We just have to know that one way or the other. So
Right.
if the question comes up, it can be answered in an authoritative way.
Okay, Tom?
If the board agrees, I can send an email to the CPA and ask for guidance and get back to the board at a later date.
Yeah, I would appreciate that. Is that okay with the rest of the board?
Yeah.
Kathy says yes, Ernie says yes, Ricky says yes, and where did Dan go? There's Dan, yes. Okay, Dan, did you have something you wanted to say?
Well, it's nothing to do with the investment, but I mentioned this to Anthony at the end of the last meeting. Did you go over the raise hand option? So that way
did.
we aren't chasing people around. When you raise your hand, it brings you right up to the top of the screen.
Yeah, so Dan, why don't you explain that? Because as the host, I don't have that option. So I don't have that button. So can you explain to folks where it is on the screen?
Okay, if you go down to the bottom of your screen and just click on the blank area, it brings up mute, video, record, all this at the bottom. There's a button there that says reactions. If you click on that, it'll have a bar that shows raise hand. And what happens is instead of standing there with your hand up, it'll actually put the yellow hand on your screen and take you right to the top of the screen so Melanie can find you. And then when you're done, you go back to there and it'll say lower hand. It makes it a lot easier than trying to stand there with a hand up waving.
Especially when sometimes we have pages of people.
Yeah, tonight it's not so bad, but if we get used to using that, it'll save you a lot of time. Melanie won't be looking for you. And if
Right.
you have 2 pages of people, it automatically takes somebody from the second page and moves it over for Melanie to be able to see.
Right, because sometimes I'll get the chat on the side that says so-and-so has their hand, wants to say something.
So,
Okay, so now the one question that I have is how long would we anticipate giving a new investment policy time to come to fruition before would we consider like maybe a 2-year thing so we can really see, because I mean, last year clearly wasn't normal. This year's not going to be normal. We're getting back to some sense of normalcy in certain things. And maybe 2022 would be much closer to a normal year to really see how things play out. Does that seem like a time frame that would be considerable? Should we look at an extended time frame? What if,
So at the bottom of the policy, it does address that issue to some extent, Melanie. It says the policy shall be reviewed annually by the town manager, the budget committee, and the treasurer, and any modifications made thereto must be approved by the board of select persons. So this is something that we could work with the budget committee on an annual basis, just to review it and see if there are any tweaks that that should be made given any circumstances that we may note or be experiencing.
and could we also add a piece in here where the investment, whoever we go with that trusts our investments, we used to get a quarterly update. And we did get away from that when we went to the Zoom meetings a bit. I think we've only had one real update in the last year or so. And it was nice to be able to see the flow and get some understanding of why things were performing less or why they were being a little more conservative.
Yes, and that's actually addressed in the policy under responsibilities, where it says the investment advisor, the portfolio manager shall
Yes.
issue written monthly reports and written quarterly performance benchmark reports to the select board. Those will be shared with the budget committee. And then at least on an annual basis, the investment advisor will come to discuss the town's investments and the returns and the strategy.
Okay. Jack. Oh,
Muted again.
okay. So Kathy, your hand was up and then your hand was down.
I took it down because that was what I wanted to say, that it was in the policy as to, you know, what the timeframes were.
I read it last week, sorry.
Don't apologize. I'm just, you know, just saying that in the responsibilities section. And that also becomes part of the RFP. I think tonight we're just deciding whether we want to move forward with this particular policy.
And Jack, did you have your hand up briefly? No, okay. All right, is there any more questions on this? All right, seeing none. Dan, what's your pleasure?
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Ernie,
Yes.
Ricky?
Yes.
All right, 5-4-0 against. Let's see if we can tweak it and change up our bottom line with that a little bit. All right, 5-4-0 against. All right, next up, we have a discussion and consideration of the Transfer Station Committee's recommendations regarding, number one, the cement pad bids, and how are we going to fund that? My understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that we don't have enough money allocated at this point for the cement pad.
That's correct.
I feel like what happened was we had raised and appropriated the monies. And once it's raised and appropriated, it's designated for that line item. But we postponed certain projects that were wants versus needs. And I feel like we've dropped the ball a little bit, because what should have happened with those line items is that when we were doing the budget, those line item monies should not have gone to the undesignated fund. They should have gone to the capital reserve for those purposes. So am I correct that we don't have enough money set aside for even the 20,000?
When you say the 20,000, I'm not sure what you're referring to.
Hadn't we set aside 2019 when we were crafting the 2020 budget, $20,000 for a paving project? Was it 20 we set aside?
No, it was the paving project will be funded out of the capital reserve.
But I remember we had set some aside for the cement pad.
Not in the Not in the 2021 budget. We have not.
Right. Did we have it set aside in 2020 though, and we didn't slide it over?
Uh,
I
'Cause
believe that was 2018, I believe, or 2019.
might have been 2019, because I remember,
It was.
I don't have my 2019 books. I can look in there, but
I don't have mine right handy either. I kind of cleaned out this room recently. So, but anyhow, so the money that we had originally planned for this went to the undesignated fund instead of being held in a reserve account so we could tap into it.
correct.
So what we have in the 2021 budget for this is, does anybody have that line item handy? I apologize for not having my book right here. I can go get it if I need to, but
You have to get it too.
Anthony, do you remember in this 2021 budget, what we put aside for the cement, what we were requesting for an amount for the cement pad?
So, so you're right, Melanie, the ball was dropped. We did not appropriate any monies in the 2021 budget. We were hoping to pay for it from the capital reserve, but we do not have enough in the capital reserve in order to cover the cost of this.
How much is in the capital reserve right now?
So right now it is $71,000.
Okay, and the paving,
Well, I'm
The
going
actual-
back. Yeah, I'm going back and looking at that.
If I'm not, where's my hand? I gotta find my hand. Raise your hand.
There you go.
Is my hand raised? There I am.
we can teach. all
Okay.
the-
The, we, I believe it was around 55,000 for the pavement.
Yes.
So 55. does not
So
leave
that
us-
leaves us 16. So if we were to award this bid, the two options that we have available to us, at least as we see them, are we could call a special town meeting on June 8th in conjunction with the school budget election. And we could asking the voters to appropriate this amount of money, $25,000 essentially, to this purpose from the undesignated fund. That is the recommendation of the transfer station committee. The other option is we do have $10,000 budgeted to replace the office at the transfer station. We could use that, but that means that that project then has to wait another year. So unless someone else has some creative ideas, those are the two options that we see available to us at the moment.
Bruce, did you have anything to throw in here?
I mean, the biggest thing was last year you guys took 40,000 from the capital reserve to offset our budget, which was that was against the committee's recommendations, but you guys as a board made that decision. And that kind of puts us kind of short. And plus that $20,000 that was raised and appropriated ended up going into the general fund. So that didn't go into our capital reserve back in either, I think it was 18 or 19. I can't remember which. So that, either way, it leaves us short because we was trying to cut dollars,
Trying to keep the mill rate down by taking as much out of the designated fund and capital reserves as we could.
right.
But did we not have the right number to start with? Did we think there was more in the capital reserve that we could
Correct.
tap into than there
When
was?
when we was doing the budget, at budgetary time, when we was doing the budget, the packet we got showed that we had more money in the capital reserve. It showed that we had $40,000 more than we actually had.
Okay. So essentially,
We had almost, when we got our packet, it showed that we had almost $102,000 in the capital reserve.
and how did that happen?
I think it was
Well-
just a mistake, I think, and it was an oversight, I think. More
Well,
than
I think my recollection is last year there was over $100,000 in it. We took $40,000 out. That left the $60,000 in. And then remember, our auditor failed to move over $10,000 in over revenue and under expenses from the 2020 budget into the capital reserve. And so as a result, there was a correction made to our audit to reflect $71,000 in the capital reserve. I will say, as far as a special town meeting is concerned, we do have some opportunities to address some other things if you guys wanted to put this before the voters on June the 8th. And I emailed you about one of those just a few days ago.
Okay, Ricky?
Do we have time to get this ready for June 8th?
We do. So we would have to have a warrant article approved by April the 8th. You guys will be meeting April the 6th. So Ricky, you could approve a warrant article tonight if you wanted to on this measure. And I've included some language in the background memo to that effect.
Okay, and how much does it cost us for a special town meeting?
Yeah, that was my next question.
Well, that I do not know. I would assume it's less because we would be holding it in conjunction with the school election, which we're going to have anyway. So, Mary, are you there? Do you happen to know what the cost of this would be? There wouldn't be, I would think, any need for any voting machines, because we could just do this with a hand count and a hand ballot, much like the school district does with its ballot.
Yeah, I agree, Anthony. Yeah, it shouldn't cost us that much money at all. And we can, if it's only a couple of questions, I'm not sure it's considered a special town meeting.
Well, that was going to be my question. Is it considered a special town meeting? Because if we are not meeting in person, we cannot do a hand count. If we've chosen to hold our own town meeting completely by written ballot.
Well, when I say a hand count, Melanie, I mean, we're not running ballots through a vote counter. We would actually have people going through the ballots, pulling them out of the ballot box at the end of the day and counting them.
Right.
Okay, I was picturing like we're going to have people.
No. It'd be a hand tabulation, if you will.
Okay. Dan?
I just wanted to let you know, I went and found the town report. It was 2019 that we requested that $20,000.
Okay, so then in 2020, right, so it would have gone in for the 2020, and then we did not make sure that slid over. Now, I could have sworn that the way we set those up and the way that we word our warrant articles is that the only monies that go to the undesignated funds are monies that were not allocated for a specific purpose. So those.
It doesn't say anything in the article about transferring it if we don't use it that year or anything else. It just says that that's what it's for. It's raised and appropriated $20,000 for that.
Right. Now, Dan, can you look at where it shows what monies go to the undesignated fund? Because there is a warrant article for that every year. And I thought the way that we worded it was that, just what I said, that the monies that were not designated for a specific purpose would revert to the undesignated fund. And that was a way to cover us if a project wasn't able to come to fruition in the year that it was budgeted for.
Let me look through it, see what I can find. You guys can keep discussing while I'm looking.
I'm gonna say I'm happy to run down and grab mine too, but it's if I pass the dog, she's gonna know I'm still in the building.
Right, so I think, Melanie, that you have to have that language in the article itself as to where you want it to go. And if you don't, then it lapses into the undesignated fund if it's not used. Basically, if it's not used, you lose it. But if you had the language in there for the money to go into the reserve account, if it was unused, then you would be all set.
Mm-hmm. Okay, because it seemed like.
Because all of our articles do not have that language. Like, for example, admin, you know, all of that money that is not used goes automatically into the undesignated fund. But we have articles that, like the fire department, any unused funds reverts to their capital reserve account. So, you know, I'm not sure what undesignated article that you're speaking about.
Hmm.
Do you have a town? I don't have my town report right here.
I'm
so-
gonna run down and grab mine. Ricky, will you take the floor for a minute?
And did you have something else? You still got your hand up?
No.
Okay. Does anybody else want to weigh in on this? Yes, and we'll just wait for Melanie to come back and see what she comes up with before we go any further.
In the meantime, is it worthwhile, Ricky, for us to look at the potential language for the potential article?
We could do that, I guess. Sure.
In here, it says to see if the town will appropriate $25,000 from the undesignated fund to construct a cement pad for storage containers at the transfer station with any unexpended balance lapsing into the solid waste capital reserve. The balance of the undesignated fund on December 31, 2020 was $3,530. No, you know what this number is $3,530,027. Is that the right number?
That's the right number that,
Okay.
per the audit report.
Okay, all right. Oh, it's the balance of the total undesignated fund. I got you.
Yes.
I got you. Okay. So that's basically what the article says. $25,000 from the undesignated fund to do a cement pad for storage containers at the transfer station. And anything that we don't spend lapses into the solid waste capital reserve.
Yeah, and the reason we included that language is simply because that bid of $24,915 does include a 10% contingency. So the best possible scenario is that contingency isn't needed.
So that's what we're gonna, so we're not actually gonna raise and appropriate.
Oh, no, sir.
Gonna come out of the capital, yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Undesignated fund.
There we go. Thank you.
yes, it would just be an appropriation.
Okay. So go ahead. You got something else, Kathy?
I'm just going to say, so that essentially is what the article says. And that would bear being approved at the April 6th meeting or tonight. I don't know how you guys feel about, accepting this article as read tonight while the research is still going on.
One thing I'd like to do is I'd like to see this done after town meeting because we're gonna have a new board, maybe.
Yep.
New people on there. And I think they ought to be part of it because that's gonna be their responsibility once it's done.
Agreed.
But again, I understand that they need the money to do it. But again, I guess if I had to vote on tonight, I wouldn't. I'd vote against it because I want to wait till town meeting's over and see what happens.
Okay.
So I'm understanding you correctly, Ricky. Your preference would be if the board considers this to do it on April the 6th.
Yes.
Yes.
We've got time enough. It's fine. Do we have to have a public meeting?
We do have to have a public hearing, and so that's part of the 60-day process outside of the June 8th election date.
So yeah, okay. And that still gets us in the 60 days if we wait till April
Yeah.
6th. Okay. Melanie,
And
Melanie, what we just did, we went over the article was sent to us about where the money's going to come from.
Okay.
And just told them my opinion is we do it after town meeting because we're going to have maybe new people on the board. Well, at least one, maybe. Maybe two. I don't know what it's. But so my suggestion is we wait till June 6th April 6th, and then we vote on that article.
Okay.
Because if I had to vote tonight, I'm going to vote no.
Well, and I can't find my 2019 book, so I have the 2018 book that clearly shows that those monies, the 20,000 was supposed to come out of the undesignated, was supposed to come out of the capital reserve in 2019 for the cement pad. And then we didn't do it in 2019, and I'm not sure why.
Yeah, and there's nothing in the book to carry it forward.
Right. So I guess that is, and it seems like we did have that language at one point that any monies that weren't, and I may be thinking that we've done it in individual ones, but we may want to consider an article seeing that we are a little bit in this pickle, not only just with this, but with the town truck. That there's not enough money to do what the taxpayers told us to do.
Yeah, and that's, and when I mentioned earlier, Melanie, that there are some other issues we can address, you just hit one right on the head right there, that's something that we could address as part of a special election.
Yeah, so I feel like, yeah, we need to do that, and we need to consider that moving forward. Do we put an article in that says, that's reflective of that the only monies that go to the undesignated funds are ones that are not designated for another purpose? And if they are designated for another purpose, then they need to go to that department's capital reserve fund so that we can access the monies in order to use them for what the taxpayers told us to use them for.
Yeah, I think perhaps moving forward, if we have a special project like this, maybe that would be good language to include, just in case for whatever reason the project doesn't get done, that does lapse into that department's capital reserve.
Right. Rick, you have your hand up again?
Yeah, I do. I don't think that's something we can do. To answer your question you just did, I don't think that's something we can do now. That's something we need to do next year when we're in the budget process.
Right. But I don't want for us to forget it.
That's right. Well, I think you got enough budget people on here. They probably won't forget it. My next question is, I kind of heard rumors around that we don't have enough money to operate the transfer station completely for the whole year. Is that correct?
Not as far as we're concerned, Ricky.
I haven't heard that.
Okay. That's what's floating around. So just so you know, that's why I'm asking.
So the only thing that we don't have enough money for at the transfer station is to complete both projects, the paving and the cement pad.
Correct.
What's left in the capital reserve for a transfer station after the paving?
Approximately $16,000.
And the lowest bid is almost 26,000.
So what are we, what kind of decision are we making tonight?
So I would say, Ricky, your motion was to table this agenda item until the April 6th meeting.
Yes.
Okay.
Fine.
And that still leaves us enough time to address it, public hearing. And if we have to tidy up any other loose ends that we may have missed this year. We can do that at that time.
Yeah, so what I will do is I will put an agenda item on the April 6th agenda proposing warrant articles, plural, for a potential special election on June the 8th.
And because those are warrant articles, is Gary still here? No. Can we request that okay, how do we do this? Because normally we would propose the warrant articles. The warrant articles would be accepted. The budget committee would review and weigh in because it's a monetary item. And the select board as well.
We can convene the budget committee next week and get their recommendations.
But if we don't present the warrant articles until April 6th,
We ought to do it all on the April 6th. And
Okay,
then they have
well-
the April 6th
Right.
meeting.
Yeah, okay. Well, we'll have the budget committee there at the April 6th meeting, but we will make sure that they're in the loop as far as all the information regarding potential warrant articles dealing with financial matters or the spending of money.
okay, Ricky?
Why wouldn't we use a voting machine? I guess I don't understand that. If it's available, why don't we use it? It's a lot quicker than having people standing down by hand.
Most
And
of the ballots.
Well,
Well-
what I would say about that, Ricky, is it's going to be a lot less expensive. And having in July, when we had 900 ballots cast in the school election, we had a group of people there, and it took us well less than an hour to count those 900 ballots. So, and I would anticipate that the turnout for this election will be less than even what we'll see Saturday. So I just think being as frugal as possible, and it's a task that's very easily done by a small group of people in a short amount of time.
I agree.
And Mary, if you think I'm off base on that, please weigh in.
No, I agree with you, Anthony. It shouldn't take us that long at all. I don't anticipate 300. Sorry, we have some very good counters. They're very thorough. It doesn't take long at all. But the cost for our election this time is around $1,000, $1,100. And just to have the ballots printed it's almost $500. So, and we're not going to have that many questions.
And
That's right.
so for the school budget, we're counting those by hand?
The school, yes.
Yes.
It might be only, what, 3 or 4 questions or something like that. I mean, I just did my absentee ballot and, it makes sense to use the voting machine now because of all the warrant articles we have. And it's so much easier for the ballot machine to count them,
Yeah, correct. In my head right now, Ernie, I have 3 potential warrant articles, but I want to, get everyone's input to see if there's anything else that we may want to add on there. But I think you're right, 3 or 4.
Yeah, something like that.
Most likely.
Yeah.
Is there one that I'm not thinking of? I've got the 2.
There was
don't-
something that Becky Seal mentioned regarding a perpetuity article that was repealed in 2020 that we should have included on the 2021. And that's just, it should be an annual article related to the advanced collection of taxes, authorizing the tax collector to collect those funds.
Okay. So there's a 3rd one.
Well, the school budget was the other one I was thinking of, that's maybe a separate ballot, but it's,
Okay. Oh, what was I
all
gonna say?
right, I think my motion's on the floor. So
Yes, we still need a second.
I'll second it.
All right, all those in favor of tabling this until the April 6th meeting? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that item is tabled. Next up, we have the Transfer Station and Recycling Committee recommendation for an update to the transfer station punch card policy. And Ken or Bruce, do one of you want to lead off with that?
Sure. Do I need to raise my hand?
I see
Nope.
you.
Okay. Yeah, I guess it's only a minor change. We're currently using 2 transfer station stickers, one regular sticker and then an additional one that goes with the punch cards. There's really no need to double up on stickers, so we just wanted to eliminate them.
So eliminate the stickers altogether and just
No.
have the punch. No.
Eliminate
no,
the
just
numbered
have-
stickers.
Okay.
The numbered sticker that matches the punch card. We would still have one sticker, an entry sticker.
Okay.
I didn't know we had 2. I've never put 2 on my car.
No, no one ever does, and that's exactly right. So why we're actually using them, I really don't know.
Well, because the secondary one, Dan, is for other household members. So there's one that goes with the punch card, right? There was a blue one that
And
goes. with the
anytime I've ever gotten a punch card, I've never gotten a
Yeah.
sticker with it.
Yeah, it should always, usually they, and if Mary's still here, yeah, usually they just paper clip them together and that's how they hand them out. But there's no need for a second punch card. I mean, for a second sticker, I apologize.
Sounds good. I guess I'd make the motion. We go with your proposed punch card change. Anybody else?
I'll second it.
All right. Is there any further discussion? All right. Seeing none. Kathy
Yes.
and Dan,
Yes.
Ricky,
Yes.
Ernie.
Yes.
All right, 5-4-0 against. Next up, we have the recommendation for adopting a cost-free expansion of the town's recycling program through Terracycle, which is a private company. And who would like to lead off with that? You want to take the ball on this one, Bruce? You were looking too comfy.
No, he doesn't want to, obviously.
I'll let Ken handle this one. He's got all the info on the Terracycle stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, so like I said, it's a private company. It's just collecting products, wrappers from products. Like one of them is Gillette. So old razors, any packaging from razors, anything really has to do with shaving, any brand at all. We collect them. We can collect them anywhere, and that's up to Anthony if he wants to put the box at the town office. We collect them at the transfer station, wherever we want. Once the box is full, we send it in. Postage paid, we don't pay for anything. And we collect points. So as we send them in, we collect points depending on how much is, what the weight is. Those points convert to dollars that we can donate to any of our choice of different things like Belgrade School. It can go right to the schools, or you can purchase some land in Africa somewhere for wildlife. There's all different types of programs that are available for donations. We don't make any money, but we do collect the products.
Is there something that we could see, like the Terracycle overview that you folks saw?
On their website, it's just terracycle.com. Yeah, it's rather extensive. I mean, to print it all out would be quite cumbersome.
Okay, but we could go there.
Yeah, and you just have to click on free programs. There is pay programs, but if you click on all and then free programs, it shows you all the programs that are available. What I did was went through and chose all the ones that were not brand specific. So like I said, Gillette will take any brand razors, or pop sockets or phone cases. They'll take any brand phone cases, that type of stuff. The only thing that I did pick that was brand specific was Burt's Bees, because everybody uses lots of Burt's Bees products. Now, we're not committed to any of these. They're there. We can use them, or we don't have to use them. We can put out boxes, and if we see we're not doing anything with them, we don't necessarily have to collect them. But I thought it was worth giving it a shot.
Okay, and do we have room for like a designated spot at the transfer station where I'm picturing like recycling containers in other communities or other countries where there's like
Eh,
a circle for this one, a circle for this one, you gotta put it in the corresponding one.
Well, some of it, and I know that Anthony was interested in collecting some at the town office. We can use any vessel that we want to collect them. So it could be a little wicker basket, pretty basket sitting on a counter, whatever we want. At the transfer station, probably as the stuff comes through the windows, we'll advertise it, we'll get it out there. And as we get through the windows, as we sort our plastics. The only thing that I would be concerned with would be the razors. We'll put a box out for the razors. We don't want that stuff coming in the window that the guys have to handle and sort through.
No, I don't want any sort of biohazard that's got
No,
bodily fluids or anything.
no,
Nope.
no.
There
so-
used to be a program too, Ken, just as a side note, and not to get too off kilter, but I believe it was Nike used to do one where they would collect any kind of sneakers. They would remove the soles, the rubber soles, grind them up and return them back to the communities for like playground mulch and things like that. I don't know if that's something that they're still doing.
I'm not aware of that. The only thing that we have is Impact Apparel, which we do collect clothing and shoes together. Whether there's a specific Nike program, I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, I remember it was a few years ago I had mentioned it. We didn't do anything with it. But I
And
know they're
Kenny-
still doing it.
And Kenny, you did tell me that there may be opportunities in the future to expand to other types of products.
Yeah. They add them on every now and then. They'll add another product on or a product line. Just keep on going back and checking the website.
Does it
Gives
make
you-
sense for us to have collections? Sorry, Arnie. Does it make sense to have collections in other spots in the town or strictly to keep everything streamlined at the transfer station?
That would be a decision.
Yeah, my personal opinion is we should experiment, see if it works. If it doesn't, then, we'll just do everything at the transfer station.
Anybody else want to weigh in on that?
My point was just that you'll probably see a lot more of this in the next 10, 20 years, because I think for a company like Burt's Bees or Gillette, it's a way to burnish their public image a little bit to lower their carbon footprint by recycling, things like that. So that's why I think, this is just the beginning. It wouldn't surprise me if, a few years from now, we had 10 or 15 companies that were accepting, their old products back to, help offset their green image in some way.
All right, Jack?
Well, I wonder how much administrative time by whomever this will involve and how it could project out if more and more companies are involved in this.
Do you want me to answer that? And as far as administrative time, it's just a matter of putting it in a box, taping the box up and printing a label. There's really not that much involved in it.
Well, unless we have
How about
locations around
How about
town.
teaching the townspeople?
What was that, Jack?
How about in teaching the townspeople what it is and how to use it?
Yeah, there's always going to be that learning curve with anything that we try that's new or any changes that we make. There is going to be a learning curve.
Okay. It makes sense to me to try it at the transfer station first and see if we need to expand it. We already have folks bringing stuff there, much like our drug take back day is only done at the transfer station. Used to be done at the Center for All Seasons as well, but now it's there. So folks have in their head where they're taking their stuff for recycling.
Can I step in?
Yes, please.
I just looked real quick on my phone, and basically OSHA regulates things like disposable razors if they're like handled by, let's say, a nursing home facility or something like that. I don't know whether in the town, basically handling things like razors gets into biohazards and then also into OSHA regulations. So I mean, we're not talking about recycling plastics. We're talking about potentially recycling things that are contaminated with blood.
I do have that question too. I mean, if you, any of your biohazard projects, there's a, you know, a plastic container that is a one-way entrance and no exit.
I have the answer for that.
Perfect.
Gillette is the only one that sends us the biohazard box with the plastic container. It's lined and it's all set. Nobody can stick their hands in it. You can only drop into it. You can't take anything out of it.
It's the same ones that
Dave.
they put in the hospitals.
Right.
Yeah, it's not a red biohazard. It's a Gillette box, and inside that cardboard box is the hard plastic container with a lined bag, all set for that.
All right. I'm all just down for us trying a new recycling program and taking something else out of the waste stream.
Sure.
We could find a way to recycle those clamshells. I'd be totally down too.
Yeah, I would too.
Just eliminate them.
Can only use so many of them as gardening containers. All right, so if there's no more discussion, Kathy, what's your pleasure?
I
Yeah,
don't know that we've had a motion yet.
What's up?
I don't think we've had a motion yet.
Well, we motioned to open this whole item.
Okay.
But, and what's the time frame that we'd like to see and decide, bring it back? When would the Transfer and Recycling Committee like to review how the program is going and then recommend to the board continuation or ceasing? 6 months, 1 year?
My question would be, do we need to do that? If it's, I mean, we're not committed to anything. If it's not working, we'll just discontinue it.
Well, see, the only thing with that, Ken, is when we do start a new program and folks get used to being able to recycle things that they would normally just put into the waste stream, and then pulling that program back, what type of notification do you give people, and maybe just an update and how's it going, and that's my thought.
I would think we'd have to try it for at least a year.
I'm good with a year.
Bruce,
And then
Bruce, how do you feel? Is Bruce still with us?
I agree a year, and we're also working on doing some educational stuff at throughout the year this year also, so.
Yeah, I did say a little something on that, because that's one of the one thing that I do hear all the time. I'm not really sure what we're recycling anymore. So sometimes people go and just sort it there, and sometimes it's not. So, okay. And can I ask a question? Do we not have to clean out our recyclables?
We prefer the cleaned out, yes.
Okay, I saw some heinous ones last time, and I was like,
Yeah.
these people. That
Milk is the worst, yeah.
yeah, and there were like hummus containers, and I'm like,
Yeah.
so I always thought that was the thing. You had to clean your recyclables before you drop them off.
Yes, we do prefer that. Most do. It's usually pretty clean, but we do get some bad stuff, yes.
Okay. Can we get back to
All
the
right.
raises?
All right, so we'll try this program for a year if the board so is the board's pleasure. Ricky, what's your thought?
Yes.
And Kathy, you said yes already, correct?
yep.
Dan,
Yes.
Ernie?
Yes.
All right, 5-4-0 against. I look forward to seeing how it goes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kenny.
Thank you.
All right, now,
Oh, wait a minute, I'm done. Huh.
He's running like the wind.
Imagine that.
All right,
Everybody have a good night.
you as
Thank
you,
well,
Jenny.
Ken. Thank you. All right, next up, we have the consideration of awarding the tax anticipation note, or the TAN.
I'll make that motion.
Is there
Second.
a second? Moved and seconded. All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That item is open for discussion.
So we received 4 bids for the tan this year, and we received 2. The low bid was actually submitted by 2 different banks. The low bid was 1.05%, and even Bernstein Schur, who helps us with these matters, could not believe how low that was. They hadn't seen one that low before. But the 2 banks were Bangor Savings and Androscoggin. Androscoggin actually, their interest costs were calculated at 1 penny less than Bangor Savings. So I asked Lee Bragg, the town's bond counsel, what we do in a situation where we have 2 of the exact same low bid. And he said the board might lean toward the bidder that has worked with the town more in the past. That would definitely be Androscoggin. They are the bank or primary depository with whom we have all of our operational accounts. We have 2 of their executives here with us today, Jason Simcock and John Simcoe, and they, I'm sure, can answer any questions that you might have. But I will say this about Androscoggin. They are great at customer service, extremely responsive, helpful, reliable. Jason's been a great resource for us all along. So all that considered, we would recommend that the bid be awarded to Androscoggin Bank. And in the last paragraph of my memo, there is actually some language for a motion that Mr. Bragg suggested for this item.
Okay, I have one question before we consider awarding. How much money do we have in the undesignated fund? And do we need to do a TAN?
So we have $3.5 million in the undesignated fund. Of course, that gets drawn down all the way through July, of course, is when we issue the tax commitment, and September is when taxes are due. And I will beg your indulgence for my inexperience, because I don't want to be the town manager where we run out of money and can't pay our bills. And so I think next year I'd like to see us consider moving toward a July 1 fiscal year that will even out our revenue stream so it doesn't spike straight up and then straight down. And I think that will eliminate the need for a TAN. But I'm afraid that I don't know what I don't know yet. And I don't want to take a risk on potentially running out of money at some point as we approach the summertime.
Okay, thank you. Ricky?
I guess really it's a no-brainer. I mean, when you can borrow money at, 1%, why wouldn't you do it? I mean, and not taking any chances. It's a way to go.
Yeah, I wasn't on the board when you guys ran out of money.
We didn't actually run out of money. I don't want to even go there because I get upset. So
I'm just teasing you.
nope.
Wind you up
Fine.
a little bit.
Oh, that's fine. It just was crazy because I can't imagine.
All right, does anyone have any questions that they need answered by either John or Jason? And thank you folks for being here tonight. I appreciate it.
No,
Thank you.
All right, seeing none. Where's the motion?
Yeah, you need to read the motion, Joyce, I guess.
It's the last sentence. I can read it out loud if you want me to.
Yeah, if you could, that would be fabulous.
If one of you will move to adopt the vote as presented regarding the $2 million tax anticipation note based on Androscoggin Bank's low bid and its ongoing productive business relationship with the town.
I'll make that motion.
second,
All right, any further discussion? Seeing none. Kathy, what's your pleasure?
yes,
Dan? You're muted, Dan, by the way.
Yes.
Ricky,
Yes.
Ernie,
Yes,
and 5 yeses. Thank you folks so much.
thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you for inviting us to sit in tonight in case you needed any questions. We really appreciate the opportunity to work with the town and provide your banking services. I've been with the town for a long time and, you know, I really enjoy it. So thank you very much and have a good night, everybody.
All the
Thank you
best.
as well.
Thank you.
So Melanie, with this, there are some documents that require the signature of the town clerk, the treasurer, and the select board chair. So if you have a moment tomorrow, we could come to the town office. We
I'm
just need
actually
your,
coming in to vote.
excellent.
So I'll be there to vote and sign whatever else I need to.
All right, great.
I want to back up just for a second. Did we award the cement pad bid?
No,
No,
You can't award it until you have the money to pay for it.
Oh, what a concept.
Okay, so we just want to make sure that gets tucked into that April 6th meeting as well.
yes.
Did we table that awarding of the bid? We did.
yes.
Okay. All right, next up, we have the discussion and consideration in participating in the MMA's Workers' Compensation Safety Incentive Program.
Yeah, so this is an opportunity for the town not only to reduce workplace injuries and improve safety, but also to reduce our premium cost by up to 10%. It's a three-tiered program. In the first tier, we could save 5% of our workers' comp insurance premiums, which would be $2,220 per year. I included in your packet a tiered checklist of the things that we would have to do on that first tier. They all seem to be eminently doable. But the first step in that tier one is the board's approval of a resolution for the town to approve or to, participate in the program. And so that resolution is also in your background packet.
Okay, so take a motion to open this item.
Moved.
Ricky made it. Is there a second? I'll second it. All right, it's open for discussion. What does everyone think?
Great.
Do we have like a safety committee and stuff established in the town?
We do not have a safety committee, but I think we've got 3 individuals in our organization that will probably be looking to help us with this. One would be our transfer station director, because as you guys know, they have long had been participating in a program in which they've managed to reduce our insurance costs because of their safety record. The second would be our rescue chief, who's very aware of safety matters. And the third would be our facility maintenance director, which in his role as facility maintenance director and as a volunteer firefighter is also well aware of safety. So I think they'll be the 3 people that we'll be looking to help guide us through this process.
I'm willing to try anything if we can save a little money.
Absolutely.
Yep. Reducing the premium is a good idea.
So on the slip, trip and fall, is anybody mopping the town office in the morning?
No, the floors are dry in the mornings.
Perfect. Glad to see that.
You looking for a motion?
I am
So be it.
Second.
Second,
moved and seconded. All right, Ernie,
Yes.
Kathy,
yes.
Ricky,
Yes.
Dan.
Yes.
All right, 5-4-0 against. Start it and see what we can do. All right, next up, we have the Spirit of America Awards. And I'll take a motion to open that item.
So be
In a second.
Second.
All right. So that is open for discussion. There were 3 nominations for the Spirit of America Award. The first is for Diane Bork, nominated by the Friends of the Belgrade Public Library Board. Diane has been the treasurer of the Friends since January 2007. She stepped down this fall. She has worked really hard for us, and because she is a CPA, she has been valuable to us in so many ways over the last 14 years, and we all appreciate what she has done for us. I'll take a motion on that award.
So be it.
Yeah.
All right, all those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, the second up, we have Tammy Fulling, nominated by Beverly McGill. Tammy, representing the restaurant, the Sunset Grill in Belgrade Lakes, has been delivering a meal to many of the elderly in the area, starting early on in the COVID-19 pandemic. She early on received some donations towards the food, then later on she didn't accept donations, but she continued to provide and deliver food to many because she liked to do it as long as she could. Tammy was always positive and pleasant. I'm sure the recipients not only enjoyed and appreciated the food, but enjoyed talking to Tammy, a very down-to-earth, my piece is cut off, I'm gonna guess individual. And I will take a motion on that.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second.
All right, moved and seconded. All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, the third one is for the Belgrade Public Library. The nomination was made by Kate Gawler. And Kate's nominated the library because they developed innovative ways to deliver services to the community during the pandemic. After 8 weeks of closure, BPL was one of the first libraries in the state to reopen with curbside delivery on May 13th. In July, patrons could enter by appointment. In August, BPL fully opened to 5 patrons at a time, and thanks to the vigilance of its staff, has continued to remain safely open. Book delivery has been available on request through collaboration with Neighbors Driving Neighbors. BPL moved programming online, including the popular Children's Story Hour, and added a variety of games and activities. In response to current events, the trustees initiated a book discussion group entitled Exploring Race and Relationship, which has offered readers a way to try to understand difficult issues that impact our society. BPL's response to the community needs and interest during the pandemic makes it deserving of the Spirit of America Award.
Agreed.
Make that motion.
Moved,
Yep. I move it.
seconded by Kathy. All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, we have our awardees. All right, next up, we have the town manager. Oh, next up, we have the warrant. Sorry. We'll try to head. Anthony, do you mind?
This is warrant number 30 in the amount of $51,393.93.
I'll take a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Some of the first ones I didn't have any highlights on. No. All right. Ricky, did you have any?
I did, but I can't find it, so it doesn't matter. Wasn't anything, it was just a question, but we're fine. Let's move.
No. All right, seeing none. Kathy, what's your pleasure?
Yes.
Ernie,
Yeah.
Dan,
Yes.
Ricky?
Yes.
All right, 5-4-0 against. Now we have the town manager's report.
So I sent to you guys, sometime in the last 2 weeks, some more information after I gathered more information about what would be involved with our installing a solar array at the town office. And I'm still convinced that a solar net energy billing program is the most financially advantageous toward us. There's no capital cost. The buyback period for building our own arrays was somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 years, and the internal rate of return over a 25-year period would be somewhere in the neighborhood of 4%. Whereas, year in, year out, we could save 15% on our electric costs with a net energy billing agreement. Now, y'all's concern was that the outfit that we initially talked to, Revision Energy, insisted on a 20-year term. You weren't comfortable with that. I did find a provider that is willing to provide a 3-year rolling term with a 90-day out clause in it. And so what I'd like to do is invite them to make a presentation at your April 6th meeting, just so that you can hear from them. And you might have seen also, I believe it was yesterday, I forwarded to you guys an article from the Portland newspaper where the legislature is looking at potentially ending this net energy billing program because they feel like it's generous to a fault to the participants in these agreements, and that the consumer themselves aren't really seeing much benefit to it. So, if we are interested in something like this, I do think that time is a factor that we may want to consider, but I didn't want to invite them until I got the green light for you guys to have them come and speak to you. And one other thing, just because I know Bruce raised this last time, I did check with the hydroelectric provider that RSU 18 signed a net energy billing agreement, and they don't have any further capacity for which they're selling, if you will, underneath a net energy billing program, and don't anticipate that for many years. Again, sort of owing to the attractiveness of these sort of agreements to the participants in them.
All right. I would say that April 6th, I would actually like to see it. Maybe I'm down with having a presentation. I'm down with exploring some options. But usually the first select board meeting after town meeting is a slightly smaller agenda. We go over the votes from the town meeting. If we do have a new select board member, we ease them in just for that first one, and then they're on their own after that. Training
I'm
them.
not even going to comment. Not-
So could we look at the second meeting in April for that?
Absolutely. I think they'll be agreeable to that.
Okay, so that would be the 20th instead. Is anyone else amicable to that, or am I speaking out of turn?
That sounds
Fine with
good.
me.
I was gonna bring that up. I was gonna say that we need to keep it kind of light because we usually go over what town meeting did, how it went.
Re-elect chair and vice chair and all that stuff.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. The second
then
item
we'll-
is, I'm sorry, Melanie.
Because we already are going to add in those warrant articles and the budget committee too on that one, so.
Right. You guys may know that Rhonda Adlam has for some number of years planted the flowers, the colorful flowers in a lot of the planters in our entryways, the signs as you're driving into town. And Rhonda is moving away from Belgrade. And so if we want to continue that tradition, that's something either the town is going to have to take on, or we're going to have to solicit a volunteer to see if someone would be willing to step into that void. And I just wanted to see if you guys had thoughts on a preference for how we go about doing that. I do think it looks very attractive as you're driving into town, and those beautiful white signs, and there's a spray of colorful flowers in there as well.
Are we still purchasing flowers having to do with the cemetery and Memorial Day and stuff?
Yes, sir.
Because I mean, we could add a few flowers to that purchase and then see if it's somebody that wants to volunteer some time. Even just different ones in different areas that want to go do a certain box.
Right, because, it's not just the planting of them, it's,
Yes,
the
they do
watering
have to
them.
be. Yes, they do have to be cared for on a weekly basis after that. They get, Rhonda was very generous with her time and would water them, I think, at least once a week.
Mm-hmm.
I can see, communicating that's a need the town has, specifying exactly what Rhonda did. And see if you can sort of pinpoint somebody that would take that on as a retiree or just as a, maybe even a family would want to do it with their kids or something. It's something to get out there and put it in the newsletter, what have you, website, neighbors helping neighbors, whatever, get it out there so people would know. And then you might get, a handful of people that might want to do it.
If not, we'll just add it to Anthony's job.
Yeah, sure.
Well, I'm wondering too, if maybe instead of
You see
doing,
how green that thing is right there, Dan?
Yeah, that's right.
would we have to do annuals, or could we do perennials? So it isn't something that we have to replant every year, but maybe perennials that don't get crazy overgrown.
I would have to consult with Mary and Charlene. They are our resident master gardeners.
Problems with something that comes up every year. You'll find it's something like tulips or daffodils or something. They come up and they die off in about a week and a half, and then they just green.
Right.
That's why you stick in you know, marigolds or something that blooms all summer long.
Right.
You go, Dan. You get right out there and plant them.
I have enough trouble taking care of the ones here at home.
Lower the hand in your man card right here, buddy.
Probably something we need to think about
Yes.
for an answer time.
And maybe we put it on the Facebook page, or maybe in the next newsletter, we say there's a need in the town.
Yeah.
Does anybody have a green thumb who's willing to step up, or anybody who's
Yeah,
got?
I'd probably start there and see if there's any
Town.
interest, you know, and then if the town needs to step up, and I don't know, did the town pay for the flowers that Rhonda installed? Is that,
No, that was
She
a
did it all?
completely volunteer effort.
well, you know, worst case, well, not worst case, but I mean, it could be a case where, you know, the town might, from the fund that buys the flowers, as Dan mentioned, for the Memorial Day, you know, celebration or whatever, we could, you know, maybe get some money to pay for the flowers, and maybe we just have somebody who doesn't have the money to upfront it all like Rhonda did, but they have the time, or maybe they have the time to plant them, and maybe somebody like even myself would have the time to go around and water them occasionally, you know, but I don't do the planting, but I can do the watering, you know, so.
I think if I may say that it'd be a lot easier to capture some volunteers if you only gave them, like, I don't even know how many sites there are, but let's just say there were 5 sites. If you had 5 people that would take care of one site,
Right.
it might be a lot easier, and it might be a lot more time, you know, less time consuming for
Sure.
one single individual.
Sure.
You know?
Right, like on my way home from work with my jug of water that I keep in the car to water my.
Yeah, something like that. That's fine. You know,
So yeah,
if-
we can certainly put it out there and see
Yeah.
if anybody's willing to step up, and then maybe we coordinate an effort amongst whoever does step up.
you could have the Belgrade Garden Club.
We used to have the Belgrade Garden
Well, they
Club.
used to have that
Well-
sign for the yard of the month.
This is what the problem was quite a few years ago when they started doing this. Who's gonna take care of them? We was lucky that Rhonda picked up the pace and did it. We're back to that same scenario again. So
Well, if you get a few people, I don't mind organizing.
we need to put our thinking caps on and come up with a plan.
All right, well, we will start a solicitation to see if some folks would like to join in those reindeer games.
Good plan.
Just wanted to follow up on an item from the last meeting. So, you know, people were enthusiastic about our honoring the first responders, and we've actually had some donations to help underwrite the cost associated with the town office photos, totaling $450. So what we don't spend on photos and frames, we'll put into a little fund for the eventual permanent memorial. And so at Kate Dameron's suggestion, I've also applied to Lowe's. They have a program that awards grants to 100 community projects across the nation. So I've already submitted the application, so we'll see if anything comes of that. One thing that I don't have on the list, but I will just give you a heads up, and we'll put this on the April 20th agenda as well. But our moratorium ordinance is due to expire in May. And the planning board is not yet done with its work on the subdivision ordinance. They're close, but you know, it's not something they're going to have done in time to put it before the voters on June the 8th. So under state law, and I did double check this with the MMA, the select board is authorized to extend the moratorium for another 180 days. So we will be asking you to consider that, and I'll invite the planning board chair to come and just brief you on their progress on updating that subdivision ordinance along with the commercial development review ordinance. So that's just a heads up. And then just a reminder that I do plan on taking a week's vacation the last week of the month.
No,
And who
No.
elected interim town manager in your absence? Is it Mary?
Sure.
I was gonna say, isn't
board
usually,
board chair.
so whoever that might be, but isn't isn't the practice that the town clerk assume, or do we have to appoint the town clerk as an interim town manager if you're gone for a week?
Well, let me just say that I will be here in town during that week. So if something explodes or catches on fire, I will suspend my vacation. And I'll just be right here in town.
Okay. Yeah, I was trying to think, I'm like, how'd we used to do that? I think we usually had a designated employee, and it seemed like Cheryl Cook was it when she was town clerk. Then in the town manager's absence, the town clerk was the go-to.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'll ask Mary about that. She's a font of institutional knowledge.
She is. That's why we keep her. Every time she tries to leave, we drag her back. See, Kathy, it's gonna happen to you too. All right.
Okay.
So, Anthony, do we still have an executive session?
We do.
We do. Okay, so I will take a motion to exit the select board meeting.
So moved.
Yep. Second.
All right, thank you folks for coming. Oh, all those in favor? 2, 3, 4, 5. And then there were 6.
Hey, on that warrant we approved tonight, did that have that?
All right. And we have to move to not accept.
We don't have to do anything.
We don't have to do
Nothing's
anything.
gonna happen.
We have to move
Okay.
to adjourn.
That's right.
Have to
Absolutely.
move to adjourn Kathy Wall's last meeting.
Goodbye and thank you all very
Let
much.
me, hang on, I gotta get my tears.
I don't think I can handle you, Ernie.
Oh.
Stop it. Just stop
Moved
it.
and seconded. All those in favor? All
Thank
right,
you.
Bye, Kathy.
Kathy, good luck.
Bye.
See y'all.